So you already have done, I think, 3 races this year. You've had what? Monte Carlo, Sweden, and the one in Kenya, Safari Rally.
Yeah.
So how is the season going so far? And are you happy?
Um, yeah, I'm satisfied. It's not like
Okay.
amazing. We had a really good pace in Monte Carlo, which is one of the most famous events on the calendar. It started very well. I think we were like fourth after the first day, but then we had a technical issue and needed to retire the car. Um, so yeah, basically all the points were like gone for us. But in rallying you can restart, because you have multiple days, and so it's not like in Formula One where you retire the car and then it's all done. You can restart on the Saturday and the Sunday, and you still have some opportunity to grab points on the Sunday with a power stage and with Sunday points. And yeah, so we restarted. We got our first fastest time at that level, so it was really encouraging. But then on Sunday there was some black ice on the road, typically for Monte Carlo, and we crashed the car. So there were some really positives and negative things about Monte Carlo. Then Sweden, I wasn't so competitive. I struggled in the beginning of the event, and then on the second day, I had a bad starting position because it's based on the first day, on the result of the first day, and so yeah, it was almost impossible to catch back the time I've lost. So we went to Kenya with good hopes because it's also such a tricky event. It's the longest on the calendar. It's so demanding for the crews and for the cars, and so there are always some opportunities. But it started very bad for us in the beginning because an arm on the rear right snapped. So we lost a lot of time, but we managed to fix it on the road section between two stages, and to carry on. But we were like, I think, 20 seconds in the classification. So there was not much hope of having a good result at the end, but we finished fifth with all the things that happened. So it's so far the best result this season.
Did you ever believe in your life that you would be talking to someone about your racing experiences in Monte Carlo, in Sweden, and in Kenya? Like, did you feel, did you know this was going to happen?
No, not at all. I mean, still today, I'm like, it's difficult. You don't know how to describe it, but there are like only 9 people in the world that are doing this as a job, like on a daily basis in rallying. So, and having the chance to go all around the globe to drive such fantastic car is amazing. So yeah, I'm just like enjoy, enjoying life right now, and trying to benefit from all what's happening.
And maybe if we could just stop and like just as for people that don't know rally racing and that maybe will think about F1 first in terms of understanding how it works, could you explain the basics of rally racing in terms of the competitions and the different like maybe rules that are different from other racing sports?
Yeah, it's a good one to start with because it's quite complicated. No, when I explain it to friends or like people I meet for the first time, I say it's quite close to cycling, but like the time trials. So basically, we will have 3 or 4 days of racing, and we will have around 6 stage or time trials per day. And the addition of all these time trials at the end gives you the end result. So we are never fighting together on a track, um, like in Formula One or circuit racing. And also, we go from point A to point B. It might be 20 kilometer, and we are in the middle of nowhere. Sometimes driving in villages, sometimes in the forest, and basically these are all normal roads, like in cycling, that you will use with your on your daily to go to your work or to go and see your grandfather, something like this. And we close these roads for that particular moment. And yeah, we go from point A to point B and try to be the fastest as possible without crashing. In rallying, the starting position is quite important. On tarmac, you will want to start first because the road is then clean. And actually, as it's not like circuit racing, we go sometimes cut the corner into the grass or the mud, and we bring all that pollution on the road. And so it makes it very slippery and slower for the guys behind.
Is it on purpose that you do that? Like, do you do that on purpose because you know that it's gonna be harder for the other guys?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, we will aim to take as much cut as possible to make the road dirty for the other ones behind.
Okay,
But
It's like in Mario Kart when you drop the bananas on the floor,
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of.
it's exactly that. You drop some bananas or bomb behind, and you hope it slows them down as much as possible. But on gravel, then it's the opposite. On gravel, actually, when you start first, okay, you have a clean gravel road, but it's very slippery because you have all these kind of small stones where you lack a lot of traction. And so if you start maybe fifth or sixth on the road, you have already 4 or 5 lines in front of you, which are like cleaned, or we call it swiping. Like just you swipe the bad gravel out of the road, and then it makes it much faster.
and so the different elements would be like tarmac, gravel, ice, a bit like snow,
Yeah.
and
So
yeah, and
you
mud.
will have like snow, tarmac, and gravel are the 3 surfaces, and then you have that a bit special one in Monte Carlo, where you can have tarmac, ice, snow, like patchy ice. It's not like always very consistent in Monte Carlo. So there you try to have like a compromise of tire, of setup, just to make sure you get through.
Okay.
And what matters most to you? Do you like, are you a rally driver, or do rally drivers prefer to win the overall championship? Or there are some races that are so prestigious that you really care more about that race than the overall championship?
Yeah, I think at the end you want to be world champion. That's the ultimate goal. But for sure there are some races that you really want to win. Typically, Rally Monte Carlo, it's a really famous one. Then I will say the Safari in Kenya, because it's so demanding, and it shows as well that the car is really strong and that the crew did well to go through all these conditions. And yeah, at the end you can be champion maybe by only doing second, third position, while winning the races means you've been the fastest over the rally. So yeah, I think some of the events you really want to win them. It's a bit like a classic in cycling.
I think people will like the time trial and cycling comparison because we have a lot of cyclists listening to the podcast. And so, as you said, there's only 9 spots in rally racing. So this must be like in terms of like racing the most difficult spot to have a place
Yeah,
in
the
rally
most
racing.
selective.
Yeah, the most selective.
Yeah, exactly. I think in any sport it's difficult to get to the highest level. Maybe in motorsport even more, because it's a really expensive sport. And like you said, there are only a few places. So to get there today, you mostly need to have like funding from or a constructor or an investor, or having your money yourself, and basically to give you that opportunity of showing what you can do. And when you get that opportunity, and if you manage to impress some people, then get other opportunities afterwards. But yeah, it's a really closed environment, and it's difficult to enter it for sure.
And is there a lot of turnover in the high, like in WRC, in the highest level?
the thing also, which is really specific with WRC, is you cannot train rallying. If you go on a track or something, you can try drive around the track or even on the simulator and so on. While in WRC, the more experience you are, the faster you are, basically. And so you can have drivers that are 38 years old and they're maybe at the peak of their game. So it's really difficult to enter it as a youngster. And basically the older guy are keeping the spots. So it's
Okay.
difficult to say that you have like turnover and so on.
Okay, so this makes it even more selective because, like, what we see, for example, in Formula One is that the younger the pilot, like the more attractive he is to the teams. But in rally racing, because you know that like the level comes with experience, then it's a risk to take a young guy.
Yeah, for sure. Because first of all, he's gonna try and push to match the time of the other. So it means he might crash a couple of times. That cost as well money to the team. And you're also not sure he's gonna perform everywhere. While if you take an older guy, he's gonna be fast on any type of surface. He knows the car very well. He has a good partnership with his co-driver. So yeah, he just has everything under control, and you're sure he's gonna perform. So that's why you can see a guy like Sébastien Ogier, which is a multiple-time world champion. He doesn't drive a full program this season, but when he comes back just to drive like one event, he's fighting for the win instantly.
Okay.
While at the moment now he's one of the oldest guy in the competition. And we had the same case with Sébastien Loeb, who came back like 3 or 4 years ago in Monte Carlo, and he won it while he stopped racing for stopped rallying for maybe 1 or 2 years.
I think there is one point that I just want to to clear is how important is the car for the performance of a rally driver? Like how much of a good performance is the actual racing skills of the driver versus how good the car is?
Yeah, it's a good question. Also, always fun to compare between Formula One. I think for sure the performance of the car is super important, but in rallying, I would say the reliability of the car is the most important, because for sure you need a performance package that's there. But I think as a crew driver and co-driver, at some point you can still compete and go for results with a car that's maybe a tiny bit less performing, because maybe you prefer one event on one surface and you do well with the package you have, and then you're gonna get the result. Now if the car is not reliable, you never get to the finish, then there's no point even racing. But I think with a less performing car you can still achieve result, while in Formula One, I think today you can take Max Verstappen or Lando Norris, who are crushing with everyone today. If you put them in a slower car at the minute, maybe a Haas or something, they're not gonna fight for the win. They might do very well and better than their teammates, but they're not gonna fight for the win. While in rallying, I still the crew factor is still important, and you can overcome the lack of performance of the car.
And when you say the crew, it's the driver and the co-driver, and also the team, like the guys that help you fix the car.
Yeah, I mean, it's a team sport, so again, we are two in the car. You can be as fast as you want if you don't have a good relationship with your co-driver to announce the pace note, to make good pace note in Ricky as well. But it's also so much of other things, like you need to be on time at each like start of time trial. You have like maybe, I don't know, a certain amount of time to go. When you finish one stage, you have a road section to the next start of the stage, and this you need to be on time. You need to do some mechanical stuff on the way. All this kind of stuff, your co-driver is going to help you. So you need an excellent collaboration. And then, of course, you have the team. Like, it's not only the engineer designing the car in advance or when testing and so on. You have the mechanics. I mean, in Kenya, 2 stages from the finish, we had a broken gearbox, and we had then the service. So we were driving back from the stage to service, and then it was like a 12 minutes or 15 minute service time, and they replaced the whole gearbox in 15 minutes. If you go now to your garage and maybe you just ask to, I don't know, change a light or something, they will take, maybe 1 hour or something. So
Yeah.
just give you an idea of how important the team aspect of the sport is. And I mean, for me, I'm trying to change some arms and puncture tires and so on the road section, but to change one arm, I will need maybe 15 minutes. They change a whole gearbox. It's like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I saw that video on Instagram, because what happened is you were in Kenya, your team was driving to the point to fix the car, but there was like a traffic jam, so they took the helicopter and everything. I think that was I mean, that doesn't happen really often, right? It
No,
was
no,
quite a unique
this is a
situation.
bit of an exception. It's like a bit of a Mission Impossible,
Yeah.
filming. It was crazy. Yeah. So in Kenya, the fans, they are crazy in love with the sport, and they all want, it's then on Sunday or Saturday, they all want to go, and they created that massive traffic jam. And basically they were in that traffic jam, and they were standing still for 1 hour. So they took like quite a lot of margin to get to the service, because that was like the first service of the day. But they didn't move 1 meter for 1 hour. Just, I don't know, maybe there was an accident and that it blocked the whole road for like 15 kilometers long or something.
I didn't
And
know. Yeah. I
and
didn't know
so the
Kenya was
team,
such a a fun country of rally. That's a
yeah,
bit
they were
surprising.
crazy. It's unbelievable, actually, how enthusiastic they are about rallying there. While maybe the culture is not so much present about the World Rally Championship, but for that particular event, it's quite popular. And so, yeah, the helicopter, the team sent an helicopter. It just landed next to the traffic jam. I think 5 or 6 mechanics jumped in, and just then to change our gearbox at service. So it was a crazy story.
And so, what is your favorite race? Because you have so many races. So last year you were already racing in the World Rally Championship. So you had the chance to experience every race. Is there one that you really liked among all of them?
For me, my favorite one is Kenya. Maybe not the one from this year though, because it was so rough. Yeah, it was really demanding this year, more than what it was in the past, and we had so many issues. At some point, I was like, "Oh, I'm really glad it's gonna be done in 3 or 4 stages." And then yet the gearbox broke, so there was so many things happening. But for sure, the Safari Rally Monte Carlo, because it's the first one of the season. The atmosphere in Monte Carlo is crazy as well. Like when the first stage of the season is one you do at night. So there is not so much night driving anymore, but in Monte Carlo it's still really present. And so it's the season opener, crazy atmosphere, and then the spectators are with flares and fireworks and everything. So yeah, it's just crazy to get the rush of being back in the car, driving as fast as you can, and then seeing fireworks everywhere. And yeah, it's just a really nice feeling in Monty. And then probably Greece, because for me, as I'm a bit of a rookie, it's easy for me to pick my favorite one. It's the one where I have the most experience and the others have the least experience. And Greece is one of the rally I've done like I think 4 times, and the others might have done it only 5 or 6 times. So it's quite close, So
Yeah.
I'm competitive. I like the event. While if I go to Portugal or Sardinia, it's one of those events where they've done it like more than 10 times, and I've done it 2 times. So like sometimes they say they don't need a co-driver. It's not true, but they know it so well. They could be almost as fast without them.
Because it's
So
the same track every time.
so they change, but they will change maybe like 60 or 70% of the track each year. But of course, at some point, like they will do
Yeah.
it like 5 years in a row, but the 5th year it will be back to the stage of the
Yeah.
5 years ago. So if
There's
you're there
only so
a
much
year,
change you
then
can do. Yeah.
yeah,
And I think for me, of course, we're French, so we we know rally racing because we had Sébastien Loeb winning 8 times, and then there was Sébastien Ogier winning like 8 times as well, or I don't know. So it's a sport that was present in the media, and we've heard about it. And the thing that I was always curious about when I was younger was the co-pilot, like the co-driver. I remember his name. It was Daniel Elena, and there was like, and I was so like fascinated by this relationship between the two, the trust that you have to have in the co-pilot, and it's a really specific thing to rally racing. And can you maybe tell us about the bond that you have with the co-driver? Maybe how do you find each other, and how do you build this relationship that's crucial to succeed?
yeah. So I guess it's a bit like depending to anyone. How do you find your co-driver and so on? I started with a more experienced one in the beginning, which was around 35, 40 years old, and he helped me a lot till a point where he was also driving with other drivers, and so it was difficult to combine driving with other drivers and myself. And when I was experienced enough, then I was looking for my own co-driver, which could like give me his exclusivity of putting like all his efforts into my program. And at the time I was looking for one, and Luca, who is now my co-driver, was free, and he was the perfect package of experience, but still yeah, like young and motivated to perform. So we just gave it a try, and then you will quickly feel it. It's not only like giving the pace note, it's writing down the pace note as well. This I can explain afterwards. It's the ambition and motivation and the feeling you get inside the car and outside the car as well, because you travel a lot together. I would say basically you see your co-driver more often than your girlfriend.
Yeah.
So you really need to to be able to cohabitate and have a good bond together. And yeah, with Louis, it was like straight away we had a good feeling, and everything is going well. It doesn't mean I will go with him like on holiday, because we see each other so often that at some point we are like, okay, give me a bit of space now, a bit of free time. But yeah, we have a really good bond. And what I meant with the work of the co-driver, often people think that the co-driver, he gets like a book from the organization or something, and then he will read it out loud to me, but that's not really the case. That's typically from Rally Red, where you get a lot of navigation and you have to follow some caps and so on. And yeah, that's Rally Raid. While in rallying, as we do, we are allowed to go twice over the stages prior to the event, and I will describe the road as I see it in my own language, my own terms, and he will write it down. That's on the first pass. And then on the second pass, he will read that out loud, and I will confirm if everything I hear is fine for me, describing the track and so on. And then the
Okay.
third pass is basically the flat out
Full,
pass,
full gas.
first pass in the stadium.
Okay, so you have a first part where you're like driving, but not too like normal pace, like just to to see the terrain and everything. And so yeah, there's a work of like transcription of your vision into his words that will then eventually be your guide through the whole rally.
Yeah.
So okay, that's and then like when you like I'm putting myself in your shoes, like in your seat, like when you're driving, so you're how much are you relying on his notes, and how much do you like instinctively know what to do? Like,
Yeah, it's also a good question. So, like you said, it's all regulated. So we are allowed to go twice over the stage, and that's with a normal standard car. So it's not with the rally car, and we have to follow the road rules. So if it's like a 50 zone, you have to drive 50. That's the first thing that's difficult. Is sometimes you will go through a village at 50 in Finland, and then on the rally you will go through with 180. So it's super difficult to try and imagine, okay, how fast will I be on that specific situation, and how will I describe it so at that speed it will be the right pace note. Then the other thing is that you can describe it however you want. Like the French guy, typically they use angles. So straight will be 180 degrees, and then it's a 90 degree corner when it's like a junction or something. And then they have all these angles. For me, it's like a clock. So 3 will be at 3 hours will be 90 degrees. And you have your own language for every driver. The co-driver then, his job is to translate that on his book, and he does it however he wants. Like he will find all kind of symbols and so on to make it shorter, because of course if I make a full pace note, like it can be a right 3 titans over jump. If you try and write that down, it takes a lot
Yeah.
of time. So he will make all kind of symbols to be able to write read it quite fast. And then afterwards, like you said, how important is it that he calls it all at the perfect moment? It's super important, because not only he's saying like where you need to go, but it also gives you a kind of flow of concentration. Because when you're driving at such speeds, your focus is like really on point, and you cannot have anything that disturbs you or get you out of your zone. So if he calls it on the wrong moment, that will trigger a reaction, and I don't say it's gonna you're gonna crash, but for sure it's gonna get you out of your zone, and you might need a bit of time to get back into it. And then of course, if it's a wrong pace note, or if he calls it very late and you don't know exactly where you are, then you're probably gonna crash. That's a probability. But what we do to avoid this kind of thing, but also just to gain performance and an advantage, is that we rely a lot on the onboard video. So basically, when we do the recce, we film our videos in a onboard with an onboard camera, and then we will study the track, so that we all the time kind of know where we are. So that requires a lot of work in advance. For example, now the next one is going to be the rally in Canaria. So it's in like 3 weeks. Now I'm already watching onboards from our previous years when the rally was driven by other cars. So I will find some onboards online. Sometimes they are on the platform of the promoter. Sometimes you have to find them on YouTube, like maybe an old Mitsubishi driving with driving his Las Canarias in 2021. And so the footage is not representative for you, but it still gives you an idea of what to expect. And that's also a job of the co-driver. So he will try and compare the tracks of 2025 with the 2022, and you will tell me, okay, that part of the track is the same as that year. So if you can find some onboards, we have an advantage. And we will watch these onboards like maybe 5 to 10 times in advance, just to try and learn, like on an exam, learn the track.
And the thing is, so you were also a co-driver before you were a driver. I think it was for your dad, because your family is a bit special in that your father is or was a driver, and your younger brother, is also a driver. So, uh, ho- were you like a good co-driver at the time, or you were not good enough, so you just switched and became a driver eventually?
No, so actually, yeah, for sure, our family is really based around rallying. Like my father, like you said, was a driver before. Now my younger brother is driving as well. The plan was never to be a co-driver, that's for sure. I wanted to be a driver, but actually giving some pace note and being in the co-driver seat is also a good learning to then make your own pace note, because by being in the right seats and having to do pace note with my dad was a good experience in understanding how he was describing the road, and then a good understanding for me to know how difficult it is to be a co-driver and writing down all these pace notes. And so maybe it gives me a bit of empathy when I'm making pace note with Louis today. I just know sometimes I need to slow down when I'm describing the road, because otherwise he's not gonna make it till the end. Although he's really good at writing very fast. It's all these kind of aspects where okay, that part of the job is really important, and by being in that seat, then you understand things that you will never have understood if you never had done that experience.
How special was it to learn rallying with your dad then? Because it's not the case or is it the case for the other drivers, you think, or it's very unique to you?
No, I think it's very unique, and it's also very unique as I was doing it with my dad. First of all, I think most of the driver, they don't like to be in the co-driver seat. I've done it a couple of times, but that's really not my thing. I like to be in control. I think every driver is a bit of a control freak, so being in the right seat is a bit scary. But also to do it with my dad, we have the same character. So, so yeah, sometimes it clashes, and I remember it was my first stage ever with him, and he was giving the pace note too fast for me. For my first time, I wasn't able to write it down all in once. Also because it was a rally in the south of France on gravel, and there it's very specific. You're allowed only one pass in Ricky. So like everything I was writing down was going to be crucial, because the next pass in the stage is flat out. So if one thing was wrong, like basically we were fucked, that's for sure. And I was like, please slow down or something. And of course, he's used to experienced co-driver, and so he was a bit angry at me, because it's very difficult describing the road. And then again, the same, if you are out of your flow, out of your zone, then maybe you will miss the next corner, or you will not analyze it perfectly. And you always try not to stop and like drive around 40 kilometers per hour. And so, yeah, I interrupted him in his flow, and he was quite angry. And he just said, okay, drive by side till the end. So I just wrote that down on my pace note. And basically the 3 last kilometers was by side. So he did it without pace notes.
Okay.
So yeah, when we then did the stage, I was reading all the pace notes, and it was all fine. And at some point I was like, okay, from now on you drive by side. I was just watching him drive.
And I imagine your mom being like, okay, my son and I mean, if your mom and your dad are still together, of course, it's
Yeah, they are.
crazy, like, to imagine that your son and your dad are both in a car going full speed, and they are both like responsible for the safety of the other. But the
And
young
then
guy,
riding
yeah,
without pace notes.
yeah.
No, I think my mom is like the same as my brother and my dad. We are in this world since so much time, and we grew up in that environment, and so she's used to it. And I think she wasn't scared when my dad was driving, or she managed to find a way to maybe get rid of that stress when competing. And so I think she managed today to do still the same with my brother and myself. But for me, that's one of the best thing is that we are able to share all these things in family, and that's sometimes what I miss a bit driving in WRC. You know, before, so my family has a business which is to prepare and run cars for like national championship and so on. And then in the historic championship, they will go all over the world. But for national, when I was driving like in Belgium and so on, it was with the family team. And when you won an event, basically you win it with your family at the end, and also with, I mean, the team at BMA, it's how it's called. It's all my family as well. So, you know, now I'm driving in the WRC, and with Ford, it's starting to be the same. You know the people very well and so on, and they are like your second family. But yeah, being able to share it all together, the bad moments and the good moments is sometimes you miss it a bit now in WRC.
Yeah, that's yeah. Now that you're at the highest level, you don't have the same, but as well, it's amazing. I just had a question also regarding co-drivers. Out of curiosity, do co-drivers wanted to be drivers and they ended up being co-drivers, or is it like a vocation? Like I want to be co-driver.
No, basically you have a bit of both. Like if you ask it to Louis, he will tell you that that was never his intention to be a driver. Like he started as a co-driver, and that was directly his thing. And then you have some others that are maybe drivers in the beginning, and then they lack budget. They don't find the sponsorship to drive, and then they will go into co-driving, and they are pretty good at it. Again, because I think it's a bit of both world. If you are a good co-driver, you might be actually quite okay at driving as well, because by sitting in the right seat, you also analyze everything the driver is doing, and then you start to have some good reflexes. You know what to do in certain situations and so on. And in the opposite as well, if you are a good driver and you know what you want for your pace note, you might be able to do a fine job as well in the right seat. Now, again, you will probably never achieve the same level of performance as your co-driver, and the opposite,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
you
it's
might
quite.
do well at it.
And how did you convince Louis to become your co-driver? Like, did you have to make like a PowerPoint and explain to him like during 30 minutes, okay, you should be my co-driver because XXX, or
No, no, at
because
the
it's a big
time.
choice for him, right? Because he's basically his job depends on how well you drive, and your destiny is very much linked with his.
Yeah, the thing is, how should I put this? For sure, like for a co-driver, if it's not working out with a driver, maybe imagine the driver is not fast enough. The co-driver is probably the level of the co-driver is maybe top level, but he will not get there. So he can change driver at some point and take another opportunity. Like typically now Thierry Neuville, or even if you take Sébastien Ogier is now driving with Vincent Landais, and Thierry Neuville is working now with Martin Weidage. These co-drivers, they were driving with some other drivers before, and they were not really getting to that top level, or they were, but maybe less performing and so on. But today, these drivers work with these co-drivers, and they are winning events. So for a co-driver, picking your driver is also like your door to, or I don't know you say, but your access to top level, because it's the collaboration with that driver that gonna make you climb to the top level. While a driver, he will pick a co-driver to help him get to that level, but it's his own, actually, it's his own level that will get him the highest he can. So yeah, when I decided to change co-driver, at that moment, Louis was basically the co-driver of a driver that was kind of sponsor from the Belgian Federation, and they were struggling at that time, and so they decided to change co-driver. So he suddenly came available, and we had a bit of a chat. And for him, as with the Belgian Federation, things were getting a bit more complicated with the driver. I think he saw in me also an opportunity to get another chance with a young Belgian driver to get higher. And me, I was looking for a young and experienced co-driver at the same time, so it was like the perfect match. And I mean, I cannot even tell you when it was. I think it was like maybe 2019, so it's already a couple of years now, and since then, we saw it was working really well. And so again, the co-driver, they will always look a bit at what the driver market offers, like, because at the end, picking the right driver, having the right collaboration, and putting all the efforts together, then you will rise. You can be as good as you want as a co-driver. If you go and sit next to someone that's slow, you're never gonna get higher.
Like if you're slow in the car, like if yourself, the performance of the car is not good. I mean, the performance of the team is not good. It's harder for the driver to rebound than it is for the co-driver, because in the end, it's less likely that people will say that it's his fault that you guys were slow.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why it's more probable that like a driver at some point, if it's not working out, maybe you will or change team and cars, or you will change co-driver, because
Okay.
that's like what's maybe preventing him of getting faster, or that's maybe what he thinks.
Yeah.
Maybe he just needs to take a step back, analyze his performance, his training, and find some other solution. But I mean, in general, that's something that might happen. But yeah, for a co-driver, if it's not working out with someone, he can always probably find a plan B. While a driver, if it doesn't work out, then he's gonna have to find a normal job.
Yeah.
So there is kind of like this success story that you could still have, because you've been with that co-driver for a very long time now. So imagine in 5 years you win like the World Championship rally with the same co-driver. Like how special would that be?
Yeah, for sure. That would be crazy special, because, like I said, I had my first co-driver who was like really experienced, and then when changing with Louis, it was like, yeah, for sure it can work out, but you never know at the end.
Yeah.
You're both young and motivated, and you want to do well, but at that point I was driving in the Belgium Championship, and then like on a junior level, so with a two-wheel drive, a front-wheel drive car, and so it was going well with Louis. So we decided, okay, we continue and we do some other events, and then we went into the European Championship, still in front-wheel drive, and it was going okay, but it was difficult. It was our first year. Near the end of the season, or on the tarmac events, we were faster. On the gravel events, we were struggling, because in Belgium and so on, you don't have any gravel.
Yeah.
In Luxembourg, neither. In Germany, neither. So that's all the countries where we were driving. And then we got an opportunity back in Belgium to drive with a four-wheel drive cars. So it's the Rally 2 category, which is the highest on the national level. And basically with COVID, the Belgian Championship was cancelled, but the European Championship was still running, a shorter program. So instead of doing 8 events, they did 4 or 5 events. But we used the budget to drive in Belgium to go in European Championship. And we finished 3rd of the European Championship at the highest level. So yeah, suddenly it was going very well. And then we got some more opportunities in the WRC2. So again, that's on a national level, it's the highest class, but you had the Rally 1, the WRC on top. And we were driving there, but to find the budget to drive in WRC was a crazy amount of money. And we were struggling with the family team. to find budget. At the time, it was with Hyundai Motorsport, which was funding a part of our program, and then all kind of private sponsors, businesses. But we had maybe the money to do 3 events, and to do a full championship, it's 7 events. So we did the Rally Monte Carlo, and we were going to do a podium, but I got a puncture like 2 stages from the finish, and then we finished 5th. So that was already a disappointment. And then we did 2 others event, and then we were struggling, and we thought it was like going to be the end. But then my biggest sponsor today is Jordan Serderidis, who is driving as well in WRC, more as a gentleman driver. So because in WRC you are allowed to, for example, drive one of the top class cars with the WRC drivers and so on in the same class, and you can do it for fun, for your own pleasure. It's like basically you will go to Red Bull Racing in Formula 1 and rent a Formula 1 and drive with the 20 guys. So
Okay.
this is allowed in WRC because you're not driving on the same track. And yeah, so Jordan came a bit to the rescue, and he saw potential in us, and he funded a bit of my he funded 4 more events on that year, and that gave us the opportunity to get some more sponsor or deals with other teams later on. And today we are in a Rally 1 driving for Ford and being one of the 9 crew doing the full season. So yeah, I cannot thank Jordan enough for bringing us to that point. But like you said, that will be like a crazy story to get there with Louis. But also even that story applies as well to my family and so on. All the efforts we put in to get there is just crazy, but it's still a very long way to go. So yeah, still need to put some work in.
And so to make sure I really understand the part like with the funding, this would mean like if there were other teams that could afford to be in the WRC, they could be like 15 pilots, 15
Yeah.
drivers.
So I think at the moment what the promoter is struggling with is attracting new constructor. So for sure, if you had like maybe 5 guys that can pay their WRC or fund their WRC career or event, we could have 15 car at the start. But I don't know how good the level of the WRC would then be. The goal at the moment is to attract more manufacturers, because we have Ford with M Sport, which is a private team that gets funding from Ford, basically. Then you have Toyota and Hyundai that are 100% funded by the brand, by the manufacturer. But that's only 3 brands for a championship. If you do the same in Formula 1, that would mean driving with 6 cars a race. And yeah, I think at the moment, maybe you guys can almost answer better than me, is I think we have a sport that's really special. If you see the images of what we are doing, it's like, in my opinion, I believe it's maybe for fans more impressive than to watch Formula 1. I have huge respect for the Formula 1 guys and so on, but sometimes maybe on track you will have 3 or 4 laps where nothing happens, and that's normal. That's on any track sometimes the case. While rallying, I mean, we will drive on snow, on tarmac, on gravel. We will take huge jumps. We will take corners with 180 with trees nearby. And I think in terms of adrenaline, atmosphere, and action, it's more interesting for fun. But today the concept is a bit tricky, I think. If you go and watch Formula 1, you know, okay, on Saturday you will have 1 hour, it's qualifying, and then on Sunday you will have like 2 hours, and that's the Grand Prix, that's the race. It goes on any television and you can watch it everywhere. While following rally for 3 or 4 days long, it's it's tricky. It's only for the like huge fan, the one that are like so enthusiastic that they will go on the events and so on. So yeah, it's more tricky to follow it online or on television. But one thing I recommend to anyone is to once and go watch an event on site. If I don't know, you want to do a holiday, maybe you want to visit Portugal or Sardinia, then I suggest you do it at the same time the rally is there, and so that you can experience it on site. And I can assure you, what you will see, you will not believe that the cars are capable of doing such things.
Yeah, no, it's and are the like the promoters and the like the head of strategy of the WRC thinking about maybe finding ways of making it easier to follow and more accessible to people?
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, so you have the promoter who is managing everything in terms of right of images and so on and broadcasting, and then you have the FIA that determines the rules and so on, and they have to collaborate together to find the best way to attract people. In one way, you want to make it more accessible, but you also want not to change everything if it's not going to succeed, because you still want also the heritage of rallying. Rallying is
Yeah.
always in the discipline where you will go for 3 or 4 days long. So if you do it one day long, it's not going to be, you will lose a lot of the history of rallying and so on. So maybe it's around broadcasting. Maybe some days we need to make them shorter and more broadcasted to anyone. They are discussing all these things and making case study to make sure we get it right for when we change the regulations and so on.
I think it's tricky because like we've discussed with triathletes as well, and triathlon is not a sport that's fun to look at. I mean, on TV, it's not really the biggest entertainment there is, but in a way, it's it's easy to think that the format is not good. But sometimes I think about cycling, and Tour de France is it's long, it's for a long period of time, and it's very long to watch every day, and people watch it. So I wonder if it's the format that's not good or if it's the accessibility. Like as you said, it's hard. You don't like it's not on TV, or maybe it's the stories that need to between the drivers that need to be told a bit differently. But yeah, it must be interesting, and it's very hard to understand like what's the key to make the sport more entertaining, because it is entertaining, and I mean the format. It's okay, as you said, it's long, it's 4 or 5 days, but it's not something that, I mean, people watch football games every day, so they could watch 4 days of rally racing every 2 weeks, it wouldn't be crazy.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's a bit tricky.
no, I fully agree with you. And again, we take the cycling example to compare. Yeah, I mean, I watch, for example, Tour de France a lot. I know maybe if it's a stage that's maybe a bit more flat and less thing will happen, except maybe the sprint at the end or something, then I might not watch it fully. But for sure, as soon as it's in the Alps with some mountains and so on, I will watch it. I will watch most of the stages, or if it's a time trial, I will watch it as well. So and it's 2 weeks long. So okay, for sure, I'm not gonna watch it all, but I will at least watch 5 days of racing. And so, I mean, that's the same concept, or it's even less. Like if you can watch 3 days of rallying, that would be possible. But again, I think cycling, for example, it's available on your TV. I don't know how it is in France or other countries, but for us, it's broadcast anyway on the TV, so you don't need to pay more to
Yeah.
watch it. It's just available. While rallying, it's just not available. If tomorrow you want to go and watch 3 days of rallying, you cannot do it. But at the moment, it's because there is not enough yeah viewers, or it's just like the demand is not enough to have it
Yeah.
broadcast every day. So maybe it's only to the promoter to make
Mm.
more advertisement and make sure it gets shown to everyone. So it's a mix of both for sure.
And until the organization gets the formula right and they get the highest, I don't know, engagement of fans and stuff, how confident are you that for next year your spot is in the team is kind of like secured? Do you feel like if you don't perform, there is a possibility that another rising driver could take your spot?
Yeah, for sure. Basically, contracts in, I think, any motorsport, but it's the case in rally. It's 1 year contract.
Only 1 year for you,
Except
or it's for most drivers like that?
I would say it's mostly 1 year, and if you are like world champion material, you will sign 2 or 3 years contract.
Okay, even that is not that much.
No, because again, I think first of all, the constructor are not sure they're gonna stay on the long term. Like, are they gonna? They always say this. At the end, they are here for more than 10 years, like Toyota, Hyundai, and so on. But they always say, hey, maybe we will leave the championship, or we don't know what's gonna happen in 3 years. So I think they only commit to 2 or 3 years. Also because you have a regulation change. In 2027, the Rally 1 category will change completely. So you might be a super performing team and suddenly be lost in the next regulation. So again, I think that's why they don't commit so much. And I mean, yeah, in rallying 2 or 3 years, it's already it's a good.
And I mean, if you had a huge personal brand around you, and you were like someone that would push rally racing to more people, in a way, you would secure your spot every year. Because I mean, because it seems like when we're discussing that there's so many things that are not stable in the sport, like constructor can leave every time, like drivers have only 1 year contract. If you were like a huge if people were loved your story and were following you, in a way, it would like the sport needs those kind of stories. I feel.
Yeah, yes and no. At some point, for sure, being like I don't know how to say it, fashionable or
Yeah.
marketable is a good thing, because it will help you for yourself attract sponsor, but maybe to the team as well. And then for sure, if they can have like sales next to that, it's okay. But it's not like in Formula One. Like Formula One, you know that imagine you have Lewis Hamilton joining Ferrari. They will know that just in terms of merchandising sales, it will go crazy. Like all the fans of Mercedes will suddenly become Ferrari fans and buy a T-shirt from Hamilton or something. But that's less the case again in WRC, because we have fewer fans than in Formula One. So the sale of team kit and merchandise is not so high. And then at the end we have only 9 places. So if you take someone that comes with a lot of money or like sponsorship from marketing, but that doesn't do any result, it's not going to do any good to the brand as well.
Yeah.
So it's finding a good mix. I will say for me, it's you need to be fast, you need to be committed, and if you're good with sponsor and your image, it's very welcome.
Yeah, you need to play the whole game if you want to stay the longest. Basically, rally racing would need a Lewis Hamilton or Sebastian Vettel to come and dip the toe in the sport and attract with them. I mean, and bring fans.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's gonna help. But actually, a few years ago, like maybe 10 years ago, we had Kimi Raikkonen. You know him from
Yeah.
Formula One. He came into the sport, he did some rallying with a Citroën. He didn't go so well. Like he had a couple of accidents, and even though he was present in this environment in the WRC, it didn't grow so much the fan base. I think it's for sure it's helping to have such celebrities to talk in the media and so on, and we are trying to do the same now. Before each event, we have it's called a shakedown, and we will go over the stage, over one stage, which is approximately 3 or 5 kilometers long, and we will take celebrities next to it. Like when I say celebrities, it can be a YouTuber, it can be an athlete from another sport, it can be an actor, it can be anything, and we just give them that experience so they can tell to others what it's like to be in the car. And we've done that now. It's the second year we're doing this, and it's working quite well.
I saw the video of Arnaud the Kid with Thierry Neuville. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's yeah, and that one was really good for that. So you said how it feels to be in the car. So how do you feel when you're driving that quick on like icy roads? Because there was a one video of you that I saw on your Instagram, and I think it was on one special stage that you've won in Monte Carlo, or you finished second, and your hands were shaking at the end, like
Yeah.
the camera, the woman, the reporter held up at the TV. And so basically you made the choice to go for kind of like slick tires, but there were bits of ice. So how does it feel to take those risks, and like what is it like?
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, everyone was so in Monte Carlo, when we say we will take like slicks or stud tires, it doesn't mean all the time we will drive with like 4 studded tires. Sometimes we start to cross tires. So we will put like a stud tire on front left, on the rear right, and then a slick on the front right and the
Okay.
rear left. Just because maybe the stage before, imagine, was 100% dry, so you want 4 slicks for that stage. And then the next one, there are some icy bits, so it's really tricky to go without studs. So you will take 2 in the boots, and because you don't have any service in between these 2 stages, you just take the 2 in the boots, you put them on the car, and you have a car that's, in terms of balance, it's really bad because when you have the studs, like the tire is higher suddenly. So in terms of balance, it will makes it really unstable. But when you will get to these icy bits, just by having the studs, it will give you first much more confidence because you will have a bit of grip, and also in terms of traction and so on, you will be way faster. And it's Sébastien Loeb, a long time ago, that started to do these kind of things. Before in Monte Carlo, you had a service after each stage, and they canceled this, and then you had to make a tire choice for maybe 3 or 4 stages. So you were taking compromise. And that's what Sébastien Loeb started to do, and now it's like the standard. Everyone is doing these kind of things. And I was hoping, because it was the last stage of the loop, I was thinking, okay, most of the ice will melt, and we go with only slicks. And that part of the stage, 80% was dry, and then 20% near the end was like, it was not fully ice, but it was like patchy. You had sometimes ice, sometimes it was dry. And so we took the risk to go without any studs. And for sure, the 81st percent of the stage, I was the fastest. So I was trying to get my first fastest time on the stage. And also we were fighting, like at that moment we were 4th. So we were fighting for good position in Monte, and the rally was going well. So we tried to be aggressive in the tire package. I was first at the 80% of the stage, and then coming to that icy bit, I tried to carry some momentum and not, lose all the time I gained before. But it's taking risk because you don't always know where the ice is going to be. Sometimes there will be sun, so the ice will melt. And when there is shadow from the trees, you need to be more careful. And sometimes even you think, okay, I will drive 60% here just to make sure I get through. Sometimes it's still too much because, yeah, if you go over ice with a slick tires, there is zero grip. You just go straight. And so I had like 2 or 3 moments where I almost crashed, even like being careful. And I managed to finish the stage. And then, yeah, you have that adrenaline kick. You are so focused in the stage at the moment, you don't feel it. But when I come to the end, I'm like, "Ooh, we made it through." We take huge risks, but did it pay off? Because at the end, you even don't know. Do you have a good time, or did you lose so much time on the ice that maybe you are last, and then your tire choice was done for nothing? But we were second. But yeah, indeed, my hands were shaking from the adrenaline.
How much time does it take to come down after a stage?
Probably like 3-4 minutes. The thing as well is, as soon as you're finished, you have a quick chat with your co-driver, and it will be like 30 seconds to 1 minute, 30 seconds, and then they will directly put a mic for the interview, and you need to answer with all your emotion and adrenaline coming down. And then when you go on then you get your times, you have an idea of how fast you've been, and then you start to come down with the adrenaline kick. And often you have a road section to the next stage that's maybe 30 minutes long. So you have 30 minutes to count down again. Like your BPMs goes back to 60, 70, and then you need to go for a rush again. And that's all the time with running. It's a bit tricky because we do really long days and long road section of 30. Sometimes we have 1 hour road section, and then you will be at the start of the stage. We will prepare ourselves. You will do a warm up to get back into your zone, and then you will go for a stage, and it's maybe sometimes 10 minutes long or 15 minutes long. So it's like a sprint, and then 1 hour break, sprint again, and you do that 6 times over a day.
And how tired are you when you come at the end of the 4 days of racing?
Yeah. So actually, you always have the adrenaline that kind of keep you up, because like I say, we do long days. We wake up at, depending of the rally, at 5 or 6 in the morning. And we do some days, it depends. Like Monte Carlo, typically you will wake up at 5 and you will come back at the hotel, it will be 9 in the evening. So they are crazy long days. Do that 4 days in a row. Of course, you are tired at the end. I had a couple of times where I finished the event and the adrenaline, you go over the podium ramp and so on, and then the adrenaline starts to get lower and lower, and then I'm at the restaurant with the team and I just fall asleep on the table or something, you know. It happens less often because now we have Red Bull as a sponsor, so it keeps us awake, but for sure it's you're very, very tired, and we lose also a lot of weight because of the heat you have in the car. And in Kenya, for example, I think you will think, okay, he's driving, it doesn't take like that much effort or something. But in Kenya, after the Friday, I have a special watch like the cyclist and so on to calculate everything. And I had like used 5,700 calories over 1 day. So it gives you an idea of how intense it can be. While we maybe do only 6 times a sprint of 10 minutes, but how intense it is because it's so hot in the car, because of the concentration that's required, because of all the mechanical stuff we do in between the stages. At the end, yeah, you still lose 2 or 3 kilos and do proper effort.
And how do you prepare for like physically to endure those types of event? Like it could be Kenya where the heat would be a huge like factor, and other ones where it's, I mean, maybe more mental preparation that's needed.
Yep. So again, like I said, you cannot train really rallying. So it's not like cycling or football. You just take your stuff and you go train. For us, it's impossible to close a road, take a $1 million car, and just go and train. So we will do most of the work is basically in the fitness with a personal trainer. We will work core stability. So it's gonna be a lot about balance and stability, because it's all the movement you will feel in the car and so on. Yeah, just basic core and your back as well, because For example, the Formula One guy, they will have a lot of neck training because they take so much G forces when they are cornering. You know, when they go to Silverstone, Maggots and Beckett's and so on, they will have up to 5 Gs or more in their neck. So it's a crazy amount. With us, it's not so much the case. Our cars are not going so fast. Yeah, they are quick in acceleration, but we're not gonna drive like 250 or 300 kilometers per hour. But we have a lot of compression. We have big suspension. We take crazy jumps, and so the absorption of the damper is good, but often it will absorb it one, and then you will hit the ground, and so it means that's all for your back, for your lower back. So we train a lot the lower back as well, and then of course reflexes. Most of our training we will do it with like LED lamps that will go on and to try and do the reflex. And then next to that, I work with a mental coach, which is like a mental coach, but as well we do a lot of training with visualization. So it's basically like I don't know if it's the same word in English, but like convergence and divergence, and it's to make the focus on objects that are close or from a far distance. And because when we are driving at such speed, of course the corner is quite far when you're 100 meters, but at the speed you're driving, it comes very close to you, and so you need to adjust your focus and also work with your peripheral view, because you might be watching at the apex or something, but there might be a stone that you want to avoid, so you need to catch all this information, and these are all things we try to work on. And then we will do like normal training. I will go running, or I have a road bike which I will use just after this. So yeah, we do a bit of everything.
Yeah. Okay. And did you have to were there moments where you felt like more on the mental side you had to improve? For example, I don't know if there's you need to master like the fear factor when you do this sport. I mean, from the outside, it looks like a crazy sport that you would only do in video games, and even in video games, you crash. So I imagine, like in real life, must be crazy. So yeah, what's your relationship with fear in rally racing?
So for sure, we work a lot on the mental aspect as well. And now the fear factor, for me, I will say it's not the case. I think as well, like if you are scared in the car, or if you have fear of crashing, or even thinking of something can go wrong or something, I think you cannot do the sport. It's, like for example, I took my road bike and I went down a hill, and it was in Belgium with quite a bumpy road. I was driving 55 or 60, and I was scared as hell because I was thinking, okay, now if I fall, I will not do the next rally in the area, and things like this. Like I was properly scared. But driving rally, I don't know, the fact we are in a closed environment with the car, it feels quite secured. And yeah, I don't have any fear. I have fear when it goes wrong, but I have fear for like 1 second because you see it's gonna go wrong. You're, instead of pointing in the right direction, you're heading straight to trees or a house or a pole. So it's not gonna go well, but most of the time you close your eyes and you just hope everything goes right. So that moment, I mean, you have fear, but otherwise you cannot go in the car and drive if you have fear. But I think for me, that's what's helping is that closed environment of the car. When I see like the MotoGP, the cyclist or the skier going down the hill of a Super G, I have no idea how they do it. Like if it goes wrong, I have an engine and a lot of body work to slow the impact down, while they are their own airbags. Like
Yeah,
I have no clue how they do.
yeah, that's true. But so in a way, you need to be fully in your head. Like you cannot be inside your out. I mean, if you have like issues outside of you in your life, like sometimes I guess it's not an easy life. But when you're in the car, is it like an automatic thing? Like once you're in the car before the stage, like you're in like war mode, like you're in full focus mode, or do you sometimes see yourself thinking about another thing and like, oh, okay, no, I need to focus?
No. Yeah, that's a good point. So for sure, like I said, the fear factor is not there, but the concentration, the focus, it's utterly important. It's like this is also one of the things we work with my mental coach. It's all that kind of warm up and preparation. It's like you say, you go to war because it's sometimes you have a stage. It's only 6 minutes, so 6 minutes is like nothing, but 6 minutes at the end, you can be 10 seconds down if you didn't have the right approach, if you were not on it. So I would say you have your warm up before. For me, it's like, yeah, warm up like any other sport. Like you will go a bit of running, shake your arms, basically warm up every part of your body. Then you will start to put your helmet on. And when you have your helmet on, it's like typically, how should I describe it? When we will warm up and so on, you will have fans around us, often because we are on a road section. You can see anyone can come and stop by and just come and take a look. We will do some autograph signing, discuss with them. As soon as we put the helmet down, they can speak to us. We will not hear them. Like it's getting it into your zone. And like you said, go to war. We put the helmet often outside the car. Then we go inside the car, and again, closed environment. You only hear yourself and your co-driver. We still have maybe 1 or 2K to go to the start of the stage. And then you have to check in on time. That's co-driver's job. And then from the check-in to the start, you have 3 minutes. It's always like 3 minutes. It's the base time. You will get to the start line, and then again, you have that kind of preparation within the car. What I do with my co-driver is I have a resume, like a highlight of the stage. So after the recce, I will describe that part is difficult. There it's a bit more bumpy, and it's just for me to memorize again how the stage is going to be like and to get in my zone. After that, I will do again some visualization training. So typically just with one finger, put it from a distance, coming back and do things like that, again, to get in my zone. And then I will shake my hands, clap my hands 2 or 3 times to get, just because it's gonna be it. And then it's just full gas. It's 101% till the finish.
It kind of reminds me like the 5 minutes at high school before an exam, like an important exam. And this is the moment where you're with your friends and it's like, okay, you have like your notes and you need to remember everything. So I was thinking, have you always been that focused and that engaged into rally? Like, or rather, is that a characteristic that you have since you're a kid, or it's only something that you do in rally because you just love it so much?
No, so like I'm really competitive. I hate losing, and that's with anything. Like I play a lot of paddle. If I do a board game or something, I hate losing. So also for rallying, typically for me, I like rallying, but not because I'm like a car fanatic and all the mechanical aspect of it, but just because I like the driving and the competition. I want to be the fastest. That's the only thing that matters. And although you have that competition spirit and so on, that's what we saw with my mental coach, is still you have a lot of small aspects you can put, things you can put in that will increase your focus and so on. So I was always that competitive and so on, but again, we find many small things that can improve my focus and make sure I'm in my zone and at 100%. And yeah, that's it. But I wouldn't really compare it with an exam, because often at the exam I was not really prepared, and so the 5 last minutes was just thinking, oh damn, I don't know any of the answer. I'm in a big trouble.
Yeah, with rally you do your homework. Like that's the difference. You actually like it. Yeah. So high school, were you already driving at that time, or when did it start for you?
Yeah, I started driving as soon as I was 18, basically.
Okay.
So for me, it's a bit of a strange story. It came quite late. So, I was always in that environment of rallying because of my parents. But also because it was so normal, for me, it felt like, okay, I don't know, it's just that's how life is, and it's not specifically something I want to do or something. And then when being 17 and so on, I didn't really know what I was gonna do. Like, I was always a bit like business focused, communication, but that's what I wanted to do for studies, but that's it. And I like competition, but I needed a bit of a kick from my father to decide what I was gonna do. I was maybe not as sportive as I am today, and I was playing a lot of video games and so on. And around 17, one day, I think it was like 2 o'clock in the night, playing war games, so not even rallying or something. And my father was pissed at me, and he took my PlayStation and he threw it on the ground and broke it in 1,000 pieces. And he said, "What are you gonna do?" And I mean, for your life. And I said, "I don't know. I want to do like you, like be a rally driver." And and he said, "I don't see that happening anytime because you're not committed to sport, really. You're not committed to school. You're not." And that was like yeah, a game changer for me because I decided to do much more sport. I lost around 20 kilos, and I started to look for sponsors. I asked him his old contacts of his because when he was driving back then, he had some sponsors. So I went and see these sponsors to try and find the budget, and he found I was putting a lot of efforts into doing it, and so he helped me to get into motorsport at the lowest budget possible, and that's how it started, and it worked quite well, and that's really him and his action that triggered the reaction into me of getting where I am today.
That's a crazy story. I had the scene in my head of your dad with the PlayStation. Now people know that if they want a trigger reaction, they can try the destroying a PlayStation.
Yeah.
But I
But
mean,
this was my nightmare until a long time. I was also like always wishing and not wishing, but I was always scared of the day that my parents would be so pissed they would throw my Xbox away. So
I mean, today, like since then I bought another one, and I can show you it's up there. It's still in the box. Um, because yeah, now I don't have time anymore to play the PlayStation, or when I do, it's more like I go to my cousin's house or my friend's house and we play on the simulator, rallying and so on. But yeah, for me it was quite important to trigger that reaction, and that's how then we started as well to do, like you said, the co-driving with an old Porsche in the south of France on gravel, and it's all how it started. And it doesn't mean you cannot play PlayStation anymore. It just yeah, at the time I didn't really know what to do, and
yeah,
sure, things are
sometimes.
not happening just like this. You get lucky sometimes, but you need to create that luck.
Mm,
You need to create the opportunity. It's not gonna happen just like this.
yeah, no, that's true. And sometimes video games they replace that inner feeling that you want to do something stimulating in your life, and you replace it with only video games, but that doesn't have any future. But like in the moment, it feels that whole of stimulation that you
yeah.
want to have in your life. And I guess now that you're more stimulated by your life as a racing driver, as a rally driver, then this need to play video games is a bit. I mean, it's still there sometimes, but I think it's the same for us with this project. Like I was playing much more video games 1 year ago before we started the project, and now like I was playing Football Manager for like hundreds of hours, and now I haven't touched the game, and I miss it in a nostalgic way, you know, but I don't miss it in a proper way like I want to play now. So
Yeah.
that's also interesting, like to understand that sometimes you're addicted to something, maybe it's because you need to find the sane way to put that energy. Um,
So,
and
but
I just
I want to come back to the point, and
yeah.
then you can tell me maybe it's the same. It's the Did you really not drive until you were 18?
Yeah, for me, that's also why it's so specific. Like today,
So it's possible to be a world championship rally driver by starting driving at 18.
yeah,
Okay.
I think you can do, like, for example, Sébastien Loeb was quite late when starting. Now it's another period. So for sure, the earlier you start, I will say the better it is. The best example is Calero Vanpera, who is a world champion, and he's younger than me in rallying. It's a bit the exception of, like, when you see Sébastien Ogier, Sébastien Loeb, they've been there since a long time. They've started a bit later than others, and they've been world champions so many times. Then you had Calero Vanpera, who is almost a robot. Like, he's driving since he's 6 or 8, just with first normal cars, but like in Finland, it's a bit more easy. You know, you have gravel roads. They are very fanatic about rallying, so they can close road a bit easier than if you ask to do it in France or Belgium or Luxembourg. And then I think there they can start rallying at the age of 14. So they will drive the stage, and then when they're finished with the stage, it's the co-driver who is more than 18 and with a driving license that will take their place to do the road section, and then change again just before the stage.
Okay.
Belgium, Luxembourg. I think in France it changed recently, but you need to be 18 and have your driving license. So we have already like 4 years delay compared to these countries, and that's all the Scandinavian country, like Finland, Sweden, even like Estonia,
Interesting.
Latvia, all these countries. And so for sure, as I said, it's a sport of experience. So the more experience you have, the faster you will be, and for sure at a younger age. So this Calero Vanpera, I think he was world champion. If I'm not wrong, it was at 22. So at 22, I was just doing, like, I think all the European Championship with the Rally 2, or I was just doing my first event in WRC2, so the lower category. The guy was already world champion at the highest class. So of course you can do well as well by starting at 18 when you have your driving license, but it's gonna depend of how much funding you find to drive as much as possible and get the experience. And as well, it helps if you have done some karting or maybe some quad ATV, things like that before. Even motorbike, having the balance and so on, it's gonna help you at some point. Typically, Sébastien Loeb, he was doing a lot of gymnastic, so it helps you a lot with the balance, and I believe for sure it's gonna help at some point when doing rally.
And in your case, it worked also because you had a family environment that was so involved in the sport that you had easy ways to get started, like, for example, co-driving for your dad and things like that.
Yeah. So typically for me, being in that family environment, like, again, it's not like we are a rich family and can find a budget to drive ourselves. But I had all this opportunity that if I found some sponsor left and right, instead of having to rent a car to a team, I could rent it in my own team, my family business, and then we were driving at our own cost. So there is no margin. Imagine, like, if I give you an example, if you do a national event at the highest level, you will have budgets that are around 30,000 euro for one event. So if you take out the margin of that team you're going to rent to, then it makes it cheaper. And on a complete season, then it makes it a lot cheaper. Or we will find all kind of other solution. If you break a part of the car in an accident, it costs as well way less money if you buy the parts yourself with your team. Then again, all this kind of stuff. And then all the contacts my father had, he sent me to a lot of partners of him from the past, which of course you still need to convince them it's a good idea to do it and sell them the project and your ambition and so on. But it's much easier to go to someone that knows your dad already than to a complete stranger. So again, if my family wasn't in this environment, I would have struggled way more, and I'm not even sure I would have started with it, because the crazy amount of money it requires, it can scare a lot of people, and that's the reality of things today.
And when your dad told you, what do you want to do with your life? And you said, I want to do like you. Was it something you always knew consciously, or was it something maybe that you knew unconsciously, and that like came up at this specific moment when he asked you?
Yeah, it's strange to say again, because I said it was always like kind of present. I think I was slowly, because it's a bit specific for me. My parents wanted me to. I was quite a trouble at school, so they sent me to a boarding school. So I was sleeping there, coming back only in the weekends, and this also slowly helped me to get more discipline with school and with daily life and so on. And that's, I think, at that moment that I started as well to have more of an ambition of starting in that world. But I had no clue how to start, and although it slowly started to be present, it wasn't really identified as, okay, I want to do rallying. And I think it was slowly coming, and then when my father did that thing, then triggered the reaction, and then I wanted to do it correctly. And yeah, that's the moment it started.
Okay.
I think, Robin, what do you think? We have the question from the previous guest. So
Yeah.
we have this habit of asking the previous guest to prepare a question for the next one. So last week we had a chat with Jimmy Whelan. He's an Australian triathlete who last year and for the last 7 years used to be a professional road cyclist. And he decided, because it was too dangerous in cycling and because of the nature of just professional cycling, to move on to a new sport and to use his skills that he had in running and cycling to try his chance in triathlon. And so the question he has for you is, has there been a moment in life where you thought it was a terrible outcome? However, now looking back at it, it became the best thing that ever happened to you.
It's a really good question, and I have a straight answer to it. So basically, I was driving in WRC2, like I told you, like in Hyundai, and Jordan helped me to fund the end of my season.
Yeah.
And then I got the opportunity to do one more season in WRC2 with Ford, with a Ford Fiesta. And again, I did these 7 events. And Jordan, he has his own Rally 1. So from the highest class, which he's driving 4 or 5 times a year. And in my program, it was said I will do the 7 events in WRC2, and then I will get 2 events with Jordan's car. So basically, he will, like, I can borrow his car for these 2 events at the highest level. And honestly, so it was great on paper, and it was coming and coming. And after like these 7 rounds of the WRC2, in the beginning I struggled a bit on events I didn't know, and then it went better. And at the end of the season, I was getting closer and closer to the front. But compared to other drivers that are there already since 3 or 4 years competing in WRC2, they are struggling to get that step to Rally 1, but they are super fast. Like, you have world champion at that second level, and they always keep coming every year because they just don't manage to get to the Rally 1. So the competition is super high. And I was getting closer, but I didn't feel fast enough to do that step in Rally 1. And I was telling, I don't know if I go in this Rally 1 while I'm not even there yet in Rally 2 to manage to fight for the win. I think I'm gonna fail massively to go into Rally 1 and fight again the Sébastien Ogier, Thierry Neuville, Oid Tanak, and what am I gonna do there? I didn't feel ready. And we did it, and actually it went very well, much better than anticipated. And in Central Europe, so the second event with that Rally 1, we did one on gravel, one on tarmac. And on tarmac, it was raining a lot. And I did a couple of times in front of drivers that were in Rally 1 already for a longer period of time. So I was in front of Pierre-Louis Loubet, of Katsuta and Suninen on a couple of stages. So it was quite encouraging for someone who was doing his first event in a Rally 1 car on tarmac to be in front of guys that are there for a longer period of time. And then later on, next year, basically the lead driver, which was Oid Tanak, changed teams and went to Hyundai. So there was a free spot. My teammate Adrian, who was driving in WRC2, got that spot. And the second driver, who was a driver funding his participation, I don't know for what reason, they stopped with the team. So suddenly the second spot came available. And as I did these 2 races in Rally 1, they were looking for a driver, and they proposed to us with a small funding to basically do the full season. So I was hesitating of doing the Rally 1, and at the end, that's what gave me the opportunity to do a full season previous year in 2024. And today, 2025, I'm doing a full season again. So imagine I would have said, okay, no, I'm not ready for the Rally 1. Let's do it later or when I feel more ready. Probably that opportunity will never have came back. And that's what I said, like, luck exists, but you need to provoke it. If you don't go for it when it's present, then the train goes by only once. You jump in or you let it go. Now, sometimes you will fail, maybe because you're not ready, but at least and you can come back. But if you don't take the opportunity, you will never know. And I think I would have regretted for the rest of my life.
I think it's perfect to have a living proof that taking action and being brave in a moment where you maybe felt you were not ready, and that it showed to be decisive. I think it's the best proof that you could have in your life to always take action and try to, you can be scared, but as you said, luck comes when you are brave and when you jump on the train.
Yeah, I mean, luck doesn't happen when you play Call of Duty in your room, right?
No,
Luck
for
happens
sure
at
not.
that moment. So
And again, it's not like if you really don't feel it and you're not feeling comfortable in yourself, then maybe it's you don't need to force things as well. Like, again, for example, you were saying your previous guest was maybe scared at some point of the risk he was taking in cycling. He's not going to continue against his will. He found another solution, but he took a try at something, trying something else, and it worked out well. So that's the risk he took. but maybe because he wasn't comfortable with something else. But you can see it both ways. Like you can like risk of just continuing while you don't like it, or you can risk of changing your whole life and go for something else, and then it works out. But even if you try it and it doesn't work out, maybe you will learn on something else, and that's what's beautiful on it. If you take action anyway, there's always going to be an outcome, wrong or bad, wrong or good. The wrong one is going to be an answer as well.
Yeah, completely agree. I think it's the best way and the most like anxiety free of living your life. So, and I'm happy to have another example that it's the right way to do. So, I think it's wraps up the episode pretty well.
I agree.
Where can people find you if they want to know more about you, if they want to follow your journey in rally racing?
So basically, I'm the most active on Instagram. And then I would say on TikTok as well. And then the best way, if you want to follow rally, is to follow the Instagram of the WRC. It's called Official WRC, and there you will see a bit of everything, all the drivers. And then if you start to like it, you go on the Rally TV app, which is the platform to follow rallying like on a daily basis.
Amazing. Perfect.
Thank you, Grégoire.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you for welcoming me.
And that's it for episode 9 of the Emulation podcast. Thank you very much for listening. As always, if you want to support us, you can leave us a 5-star review. You can follow us on both YouTube, Spotify, and Instagram if you want to have all the information about the project. Thank you very much for listening. Take care and see you next week. Bye-bye.